When I say distance running, what do most people think of? Well, most people think of pain and soreness. Well, for a lot of us distance runners, I can tell you, most distance runners think of knee pain in particular. There's a big problem out there with running shoes I'm here to tell you about, and most people are wearing the wrong ones. I'm going to tell you about the different types of running shoes. I'm going to tell you about the problem. I'm going to tell you about the different types of running shoes. I'm going to tell you how you can see what kind of running shoes you need to avoid this problem. Hi, my name is Steve, and I've been an avid runner all of my life. I've bought countless pairs of shoes, wasted money on cheap shoes to expensive shoes, upwards of $150 a pair. Running is a great way to stay in shape and lose weight. It's great cardiovascular exercise. It's something that almost anybody can do once you work up to it, and it gives me a lot of pleasure. I'm going to tell you today about a common problem with running shoes, and we're going to talk a little bit about the problem with the running shoes. We're going to talk about the difference in the soles, and lastly, we're going to talk about how you can find the right soles for your style feet. First, let's talk about the problem with running shoes. Well, the problem is the shoes just weren't designed to fit your feet. The main problem is your foot's pronation. Now, a lot of people are saying that's a made-up word, but I've looked it up. It's not a George Bush-ism. When you run, your heels hit the ground, and your foot rotates slightly in about 15 degrees to the inside. That's called pronation. If you rotate too much, that's overpronating. If you rotate too much to the outside, that's underpronation. Basically, pronation is how your body absorbs the shock of running. Without this, all the pressure goes up. There's a lot of force in running on your knees and your ankles. So if your ankles and your knees aren't lined right, it causes a lot of problems. If you don't feel it now, you'll feel it in the future. Even if you buy the most expensive pair of shoes, it's only going to hurt you in the long run if they're the wrong kind for your feet. They may be great shoes, but they may not be great for your feet. I'm going to tell you a little bit now about the different kinds of shoes and what the difference is and how to tell. Now, most people see a shoe, they look at the color or the pattern, and it attracts them. It's a good color, or they like the style. But there's basically three different kinds of designs I'm going to tell you about. Here's a good example of a high-quality running shoe. Very popular model, the Brooks. And you can see the color here of the sole, how it's gray. This is what's known as high-density foam. The outside is white, low-density foam. Now, this is actually my shoe. When you overpronate, your foot hits the ground, like I said, and you rotate too much in. Well, this high-density foam doesn't give as much as the outside foam. So it forces your foot back to center, to a neutral position, or a normal foot, which aligns your ankles and your knees to take the shock. Now, a neutral foot, or a normal pronating foot, has no high-density foam on either side. If this was overpronate or underpronating, it would have it on the outside to do the same concept, to turn your ankles the way it needs to be and align your knees, forcing you to run in perfect alignment, which is exactly what you need to do long-term running. You know, not just distance running, but running into the future. Lastly, I'm going to tell you about how do you tell which shoes you need. Well, here's what I do. This is the best way. There's a lot of different home ways you can do. Go to a good running store, not the mall store. Those guys are great salesmen, and they want to sell you a shoe, but they want to sell you the most expensive shoe, and it's not really what you need. If you have the most expensive shoe and it doesn't fit your feet, it's not gonna work right for you. It may be the exact opposite of what you need for your feet. And here's what you do. They just, those salesmen just don't understand the mechanics of running and how your feet work. They just want to sell the shoe. Go to a good running store or athletic store that has a good selection, and they'll evaluate your feet. What they'll do is they'll take a wet footprint, wet your feet, stick it on a piece of paper, and see how your feet hits the ground. They'll watch how you walk away from them. They'll even look at your old shoes. If your sole is worn out on one side or the other, then you're overpronating or underpronating. That's a good way to tell. But a lot of people say that those shoes are too expensive. Those stores are always overpriced, and they are. There's a lot cheaper stores. Here's what you can do. You can go there, you can look around, have them evaluate your feet, and then simply say no thank you and go to another store and buy the exact shoe that you need that's cheaper. I paid $40 less for mine because I went to a store that had less prices, the lower prices. Even if you buy the right shoe, no matter how much money you spend on it, it's not going to be tremendous. It doesn't have to be. There's a lot of good shoes out there at a reasonable price. Okay, to sum it up, we've talked a little bit about the problem with shoes. We've talked a little bit about how to tell the difference in the different types of shoes, and we've talked about how to tell what kind of shoe you need to fit your running style. I can tell you I've spent countless pairs of shoes I've bought not getting the right combination, trying to pick it. If you just go to the store and you'll do it. I think you can all see that shoes can cause you problems if you don't have the right ones. If you do pick the right ones, even at a reasonable price, you can get a good deal, and you can have years of running long term and without knee problems or ankle problems.